Hello everyone, welcome to ABC Interactive English. I'm Mike.
I'm Rainbow.
It's part 2 of our look at being cooperative, people working together so everyone gets ahead and reaches their goals. Yesterday, you told us that interesting story about working in television and film, right? About how everyone needs to be cooperative. And at the end of the film, you often see that list of names.
It's so long.
And everyone has a different job. Well, all those people need to be cooperative. And as Chloe in our article has explained, in her job also, working on a team, trying to finish their project, she needs all of her coworkers and for her as well, to be cooperative. And I'm also thinking that when it's outside of work, in many other parts of our lives, we need to be cooperative. I mean, the easiest one to think of is a sports team, right? Everyone on a sports team has a different job. They need to play together. They need to pass the ball. They need to be at the practice on time and work just as hard as everyone else. If one guy's being lazy, if he's the only one who scores the goals and he's the one who's the big star and everyone else's work gets ignored, that won't be a happy team because at least one person isn't being cooperative. And in my pastime, I like to play music. I think a lot of you guys might know that. I play in a few bands. And again, we need to be cooperative. We have to show up on time, ready to play. We have to learn the song. We have to remember the song and practice so that when we get to the show, we play as a single group, not as 5 people on stage playing different music, but you need to play the same song. Dance groups are very much the same, right? Everyone has to be exactly together. Be cooperative because that's the best way to perform your best or to work your best or to play your best if you're doing sports. All right, so let's check out day 2 and see what some of the other things that Chloe has learned about being cooperative are. Chloe and her team members often meet about their projects. During their discussions, everyone gets an equal amount of time to speak and ask questions. When Chloe is speaking, the other members are actively listening. That means that they listen carefully and don't interrupt her.
So back to the story about Chloe and how she cooperates with her team members. Chloe and her team members often meet about their projects. During their discussions, everyone gets an equal amount of time to speak and ask questions. So Chloe keeps it very fair. She doesn't let one person talk the whole time. She says, okay, let's move on to the next one so we can get everybody's suggestions. That's a really great way of working together.
Yeah, it's true, because some people can be cooperative just sort of naturally, but if you set it up so that everyone sort of has to be cooperative, it can keep things nice and smooth, keep some rules in there so everyone knows what's okay, what's not okay, and then everyone can do the best to work together, to be cooperative. And this is something they even do when they have discussions, not just when they're talking about the work they're doing, but even when they're talking about the work, because a discussion is a talk between at least 2 people. It's kind of like a conversation. We can say that too. A discussion might be a little more formal. You might have a topic. Today we are talking about plans for next year. That is what our discussion is about. It's kind of like a chat, but as I said, maybe a little bit more in a business kind of environment. You might have a discussion. Although, you know, we could get together and have a discussion about planning a birthday party for a coworker. It doesn't have to be super serious, but it is 2 people talking about an idea and, of course, probably trying to make some decisions or at least come up with some ideas during their discussion.
So when we're having a discussion or in general when we talk to people or relationships, it's very important that they're equal, and equal means they are the same in some ways. So if we have an equal relationship, that means I talk sometimes, you talk sometimes, and we don't just have one person saying something all the time. We listen to one another and we also share the work. So if you are equal with the person you live with, that means that you share housework with them, or maybe you cook and they do the dishes, and something is in balance with one another. So equal means means the same, means balance, means nobody's doing more or less. We're doing the same amount. We're equal.
Yeah, fair, right?
Fair,
no one is
right.
getting special treatment, being treated better, and no one is being treated worse. It's nice and equal or fair. And let's get back to the article. It says when Chloe is speaking, the other members are actively listening.
Oh, that's important.
Very interesting there. So of course, when Chloe is speaking, people will be listening, right? She's talking. We're using our ears to hear and to listen to what she's saying. But notice there, the article said that the other people are actively listening. That's a little bit different.
So actively is an adverb. If you're listening, it could just be yeah, yeah, okay. If you're actively doing something, that means you're really focused on what they're saying. Maybe you could even be taking notes. Maybe you're thinking about questions to ask the other person. If you have an active listener in front of you, they would be nodding, they would be showing signs that they're listening. Okay, tell me more. What does that mean? So an active listener really pays attention. So when you do something actively, it means you do it on purpose. You do it when it's in a planned way. You're not just doing it. You actually care about what you're doing.
You're doing it, and your brain is also working at the same time.
Right.
The opposite of active would be passive. Passively listening is just, yeah, okay, And maybe the words are going in one ear and out the other ear, and you're not actually thinking about what the person is saying, right?
Yeah.
Playing a video game is much more active than just watching TV.
Which is
when you're just
passive.
sitting there and things are happening. So actively means your brain is also engaged in doing it at the same time. As the article explains, actively listening. That means that they listen carefully and don't interrupt her. It would be totally fine, maybe even good to take some notes about what she's saying so you can ask questions later. But if she says something that's slightly wrong, you don't immediately go, hey, hang on. No, you want to really get the idea that she's trying to explain, and then you can go back and talk about the things you might not understand or have a different idea about, but you do allow that person the time and the space to say what they want to say. And you do this carefully. You're listening carefully, maybe writing your notes carefully, and then later on you would ask questions carefully because you're doing it with care. You are full of care. Care is concern. You want to take care of things. You want things to be good, to be healthy, to work out in a good way. So when you do things carefully, you're trying not to make mistakes or have accidents. You're trying to always do the right thing and do it without any problems going on.
Yes, and when you're listening actively, it's very important that you don't interrupt the other person.
I disagree.
Speaking.
I disagree.
That's an example of interruption.
No, it's not.
Or interrupting. That means when you're saying something, somebody cuts in the middle, like Mike did 2 times, and then says,
I didn't do it 2 times. I did it
"Listen
3
to me,"
times.
like that. That means interrupting. So going in between somebody's conversation when they're not finished with their sentence, which means that the person wants to speak more than they want to listen. So when we interrupt somebody, maybe we have something very important to say, but we want to talk. We don't really want to hear what the other person says, which is not a good idea when we have to have a very serious discussion or when we're having a friendship or any discussion in general. Okay, so we are going to take a break and then we'll come back very quickly to learn more about cooperative Chloe.
If they don't understand something, they will ask questions after she is done. Also at that time, the other members will give Chloe positive feedback. It shows a lot. Chloe did a good job and she's helping the team be successful. Now that's being cooperative. All right, so we're talking about actively listening and how this can be a great thing to do when you're working as a group, especially when you're sharing ideas. Earlier, we said, when Chloe is speaking, the other members of the group will actively listen, taking careful notes, but they won't interrupt her. They will let her say all the things she wants to say. And then they can do something. It says if they don't understand something, they will ask questions after she's done. Remember, don't interrupt, make your notes, and then you can go back and say, hey, you said something at the beginning that I have some questions about, or I didn't understand, or I don't agree with. That's okay, but do it later on.
Right. Also at that time, the other members will give Chloe positive feedback.
That's good.
It shows a lot. Chloe did a good job and she's helping the team be successful. That's good advice.
It is good advice, yeah. And we have this word positive here. Something positive is something that is generally good. It's a plus. It's something that is this and not this. The opposite would be negative. Okay, so something positive, if I say something positive to you, it could be something like, that was the best speech ever. That would be super positive. Or if I just say, hey,
good job.
Your speech today was much better than the speech last month. Well, that's a good thing. It's moving in the right direction. It's getting better or stronger. It's being more successful. It's on its way up. It's not getting worse, and it's on its way down, and we have more problems. That would be negative. So positive feedback is basically when you tell someone your opinion, but you try to keep it on the good side of things and not only focus on the bad side.
Right. Feedback is like feeding back to responding to what happened, responding to your colleague, for example. If you give someone feedback, it's telling them how you felt about their presentation or what they said or just a response. And feedback can be really helpful because it can really tell somebody how to improve. Now, positive feedback can be, hey, you know what, that was really good. I know that wasn't very easy, but it turned out really well and I'm so glad that you pushed through. That's some positive feedback. Now, feedback can also be useful, but not necessarily positive. It might be, I would recommend that next time you go a bit slower. That's also feedback that can be very useful. So we don't want to give something negative to the other person and say, you suck, that was awful. But we want to tell them, hey, maybe it's a good idea to go in this direction. So keep the feedback on a positive note so that it can really be helpful to other people.
That's right. Too much negative feedback might make people afraid of doing it in the future.
Yeah.
Of course, they'll never get better. Whereas positive feedback will focus on the good things and look at the not so good things, but in a better, more healthy way. And as the article says, if we can do all of these things or many of these things, now that's being cooperative. It is being cooperative, and it's important to know because at some time in your life, whether it's in school, in your job, even with your family and friends, it will be important to be cooperative. And really, if everyone's cooperative, everyone gets on and everyone has a better time doing whatever they're doing. And that's what we want for us all. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Take care of yourselves out there, and we'll see you back here sometime soon. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye.
Chloe and her team members often meet about their projects. During their discussions, everyone gets an equal amount of time to speak and ask questions. When Chloe is speaking, the other members are actively listening. That means that they listen carefully and don't interrupt her. If they don't understand something, they will ask questions after she is done. Also at that time, the other members will give Chloe positive feedback. It shows a lot. Chloe did a good job and she's helping the team be successful. Now that's being cooperative.
Hello, I'm Tina. 我们来看这一课的重点单字。第一个 discussion 名词讨论。Can we have a discussion about the trip next month? 我们可以讨论下个月的旅行吗？下一个单字 equal 形容词相等的。All people are equal before the law. 法律之前人人平等。下一个单字 interrupt 动词打断谈话。Tom rudely interrupted Mr. Hamilton's speech. Tom 粗鲁地打断 Hamilton 先生的演讲。下一个单字 positive 形容词正向的正面的。I have a positive feeling about the result. 我对结果有正面的感觉，就是一个好的感觉。接着我们来看重点文法。第一个 an amount of 加名词，表示是什么的数量。 Amount 指的是数量、总数，因为它的字首发音是母音，所以冠词我们要用 an。Amount 前面可以用 large、small 这些字来修饰。我们来看看这个例句。
Chloe found a large amount of cash in the cookie jar.
下一个文法 ，somebody is done， 某人完成了什么事情？它的后面可以加上 with， 再接完成的事情。我们来看看这个例句 ：I'm done with the book。这本书我看完了。最后一个文法 ，That's being cooperative， 那就是乐于合作的表现。Being 加上形容词，在这里是指动名词当主词补语的用法。我们来看看这个例句 ：Kelly has already booked a table in that restaurant for us. That's being thoughtful. Kelly 已经替我们在那间餐厅订位了，这真是贴心啊！以上就是这一课的重点单字跟文法，回去记得复习哦。我们下一课再见，拜拜。
Hey everyone, I'm Jamie.
I'm Josh.
And today we're playing a game called Word Drop, where we each have 3 cards with words or phrases on them that we have not seen yet, and we're going to try and work them into a casual conversation. So, are you ready, Josh?
Let's have a conversation.
Let's
I'll
talk.
get this ball rolling.
All right.
Okay. Oh, this actually just happened to me yesterday.
Oh.
Yeah, I was at my friend's place watching this movie. This new Mark Wahlberg movie. It's terrible. Don't go and see it. It's called Father Stew. But before the movie started, I was telling a story. And I haven't even finished telling the story. And then my friends, they interrupted me.
Oh, that's awful. Yeah, I also hate being interrupted because sometimes I'm telling a joke or it's like a funny story that I want to share, right? The whole point is that you want to share these experiences. But yeah, if people interrupt you, then you can't finish your story or joke or whatever. And yeah, then it kind of ruins the moment, right? It makes it that feel like that they aren't really listening to you. So I don't like that. I think it's good when I can talk and you can talk and we both listen to each other and have a discussion.
Discussions are so much better than interruptions. And after we watched the film, we just continued chatting. They continued interrupting me, and I just realized I don't think I even want to hang out with these people anymore. I'm sick of having negative friends. I just really need someone. I just need a group of friends that are a bit more positive, I feel. A bit more positive for my life.
Oh, yeah, I think having positive friends makes your whole life more positive, right? Like makes everything better. I think having negative people around you makes your life more negative. And yeah, I think also when you have positive friends, you can do fun things together, right? Like maybe we play sports together, and I like playing basketball where each team has an equal number of players.
There's nothing worse than basketball team with an odd number of players, that's for sure. I've just watched that basketball documentary as well, the Michael Jordan one. And I had no idea I liked basketball until I saw that. And what I realized, I just need a small amount of basketball in my life, not a lot. A small amount is fine.
Just a small amount. Okay. Yeah. I don't know very much about basketball. I sometimes just try to play it for fun. But yeah, I think though I do remember actually at my school one time we had a famous basketball player come to my school and talk to us, like talk to the students. And that was pretty interesting, even though I don't really follow basketball, but apparently they were a pretty big famous player. So yeah, it was pretty cool. But he talked for a long time and we were like, is he done giving his speech? And then they said, yes, he is done giving his speech.
That must have been a pretty good speech.